Hello, Ajay. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I just want to say, first of all, I want to thank Rabbi Jack Slater and Rabbi Malka and Cindy and the members of Hamakon. I want to thank Rabbi Slater, Rabbi Malka, Draker, and the members of Hamakon for letting me or helping me to fulfill something that, as you heard, had been in my heart and in my soul since childhood. With that said, I'm going to say that this conversion to Judaism did take place in 2013, even though it was a long road. It was only actually until 2007 that I really put the effort in. And I was up here already. I came to Las Vegas in 2006. I didn't know about any Jewish community up here because there's a strong Catholic community up here. And my congregation and the people who I serve, dash my clients, are mainly Catholics. Luckily, in 2007, my mother had passed away. My family had founded an AME Zion church in Quogue, New York. My great aunt and uncle-in-law gave the land to it, helped build it, etc. My father contributed a lot to the church, and my sisters and brothers were bringing the minister up to snuff as to the history of our involvement from around 1900 with this church. And I sat in that church looking around where I had taught Sunday school, mainly Genesis and Exodus when I did teach Sunday school for them, realizing that, again, I felt displaced. I did not feel the comfort, and finally decided that what I had asked for in junior high school, what I had asked for in college, what I had asked for during medical school, and then told, not yet, no, you don't qualify, I was going to go forth and do. So in 2007, I sought out the Jewish community here in New Mexico. I was introduced to, as Diane mentioned, Marshall Poole, who then introduced me to Keith Robertson, who is also an Afro-American Jew, whose family dates, whose father was Jewish and mother was Jewish, and they were from the Ohio or the Midwest area. And he says that his grandparents were also Jewish. So they then introduced me to other people in the Jewish community. In 2007, I started attending Yom Kippur, Passover, etc., started reading other books about converting to Judaism, traveled down to Albuquerque to try to take the conversion lessons, but they wanted it done online, and that was not me. I'm sort of like, as a family practice physician, hands-on with my learning as I am with my patients, and medicine. I then joined the Las Vegas Jewish community, helped out a lot, became its vice president while I was in the interim of also doing my conversion to Judaism through the people that I mentioned and the congregation. I then worked hard on it, went through my bar mitzvah. My sister was able to make it. My son didn't come. And unfortunately, that same year, I lost my son to diabetes and pneumonia. So he didn't make it. But still, I went forth with that, and I feel that this conversion is something that I've always wanted to do. People may ask me certain questions, like how did my family take it? In fact, my medical advisor, who was Jewish, whose wife told me, you know, you're in medical school, you don't have time to study for the conversion. You've got too much going on with medical school. he asked me this past summer again, how did your family take your conversion? Myron Gordon is 92 years of age. I went to visit him in New York. He's presently in Palm Desert, him and Carol. And I told him, you know what, my family had no problem. In fact, in 2016, when I went to visit my brother, who was in the entertainment business, my brother said to me the following, Tommy, if you had let me know that you wanted to convert to Judaism, I know that people of Delphonics and etc. are also Afro-American Jews, and I would have hooked you up with them for your conversion. Okay. My brother is Samuel Strain Jr. of Little Anthony and Imperials and of the OJs. So he definitely had a lot of connection. He knew Sammy Davis Jr., he knew a lot of other people who were of the Jewish faith. But he never really knew that I wanted to convert because as an entertainer, he truly was never around. Okay? So, as I said, this conversion was something that has helped me to continue to do the mitzvahs that I felt I need to do for the community. Being the president and vice president of the Las Vegas Jewish community has been very important. Also, driving down, as Rabbi Slater can tell you, almost every weekend, since we don't have rabbinical services up here, I drive down to Santa Fe for rabbinical services to help me with something that I am truly struggling with, and that's Hebrew. She's given me lessons twice, and I still can't get it together. So I'm slowly getting there. So I'll leave that with that. I'm just going to say that I shall also be leaving New Mexico. I have found a job on the east side of the state here, where I will be a medical director. I'm also hoping to have going to the 3 colleges in the community to offer my services to be a preceptor for pre-med students. So. Okay. As I said, when I was growing up, my father, and I'm just going to give some accolades to my dad, since someone said I never really talked much about him, but there's not, when you're growing up with someone, you don't realize it. My sister has a plaque that my father received in 1958 to the key to Metuchen, New Jersey, for his culinary arts. He was this, how did my brother put it, the one I was telling you about, he worked with the maggots for the Hartford Textile Company. They were Jewish. And so my father would not be there for high holidays at the house, or he would be late. And he would tell us about this and that. I remember one time I asked my dad, why are the maggots upset? I overheard him saying the maggots were upset because one of their relatives was about to marry a Gentile. And I said, what's a Gentile? What are they upset about? And my father explained that a Gentile was someone who was not Jewish. And I was like, okay, fine. Then when I turned 13, my father said to me, if we were Jewish, you would be having a bar mitzvah. But instead, the maggots have their cousin that works at the Diamond District down in New York, and I'm taking you down to get a ring for you for your 13th birthday, since you cannot have a bar mitzvah. Wow. So, that's encapsulated. I mean, it was sort of like, I went to the penthouse on 1 Beekman Place, watched the UN building being built, watched him serve and do things for these people. And I remember we would sometimes go through the service elevator, but if no one was using the service elevator, we went through the regular elevator up to the penthouse. So.
Okay, let me bring the mic back up front.
Of all the communities in the United States that need physicians, what made you pick Las Vegas?
Okay, I've been in New Mexico since 1980. 87. I was in Albuquerque. And I worked for Lovelace. I left Lovelace when Arden took over, and my ex and I had a restaurant. When it faltered, I needed MONEY. I got a job offered as a locum in-state here in Las Vegas. While being a locum up here, I realized that this small community was throwing me back to my childhood with them having bonfires for the basketball team that was going to go play at the semifinals, the ticker tape parade out of town, all this family-oriented things, along with having a receptionist, their secretary, talking to her, and she's like, "What are you upset about?" She goes, "Well, the principal just called to let me know that he overheard my son talking about getting his ears pierced." And I was like, okay, the principal calls a parent to let them know their son, yes, this goes back to the 50s and 60s. I can deal with this community.
What was your restaurant?
It was Doc and Miss V's. It was the old Swells restaurant that used to be on Isleta Boulevard in South Valley, where I was also a physician.
Could any of you speak to whether there is a stirring of curiosity amongst people that are crypto-Jewish in this area, and are they starting to come to you to ask to understand what their Judaism is all about?
I'll pass it to you also, Diana.
That's all right.
But the question was about crypto-Jews, which I meant to mention, and I don't know how many people here are aware of that whole or not aware of that whole phenomenon. Nobody, okay. Well, I was just going to bring it up that so many people here are discovering, I mean, native people here are discovering and have not discovered that they're largely Jewish, and that a lot of these, you reminded me when you mentioned the ring, a lot of people realize that they've had these funny little customs in their family, and where did that come from? And they discover that their family was Jewish, but hid it, under pain of death from the Inquisition originally. But I guess everybody here is aware of all that stuff, so I don't need to bring it up.
As Stan Hortis would tell you, as he has told us in the past, people would come to, he did a study on this, and they would come to him and say, "I don't know, my grandmother was allergic to pork," or "I don't know why my grandmother used to light candles on Friday night." And I've had friends ask me, how come my family, they're Hispanic people, would ask me, how come my family covers the mirrors when somebody dies? So, there have been questions that are rooted in the past. There was a Mexican Inquisition. The Spaniards thought it was such a great idea, they brought it to Mexico and did it again. So during the Mexican Inquisition, which is approximately, 1600 something, the Jews from Mexico City and surrounding, they came up north to no man's land, which is now Las Vegas, and came here. But those who stayed or those who fled, like Jim said, they hid their Judaism for fear of being, killed, tortured, whatever. And so these people are now coming out of the woodwork and saying, like I said, "Oh, well, I don't know why I'm allergic to pork," or "I don't know why we cover the mirrors," or "I don't know why we light candles." And we have had real live bodies in our Jewish community come to join us and participate and to learn about Judaism. So we do have that exposure too.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
To reemphasize that, I will say that as a physician, when you ask someone why do they have a Star David tattooed on their arm, and they then say, "Oh, I found out that my great-grandfather was Jewish," it's like, yes, you also have Jewish blood in you. And that's how I learned of the crypto Jews in northern New Mexico, was through this person as a patient up here during my initial years up here. And then when I joined the Las Vegas Jewish community, as I tell people, we're sort of like what they call the melting pot of Jews. We've got crypto Jews, we have those who've been raised in the Orthodox, Renewal, Reform, and Conservative that join our services. So yes, there are crypto Jews up here.